Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Penik. And we've got ourselves a Giants-49ers preview. We got Thursday Night Football. First time on Amazon Prime, so that'll be an interesting experience, Justin. And the Giants' two best offensive players are out with Andrew Thomas and Saquon Barkley. And, guess what? We are facing maybe the best team in the NFC that has all pros all across the roster. I hope you enjoyed this Cardinals win because this is going to be a tough one for the Giants.
Yeah, what a cruel world we live in, right? We have one of the best comebacks in the Super Bowl era, and then just a couple days later, you're good chance that the Giants are going to get a cool shock of reality against the San Francisco 49ers. Hi, Bobby Skinner. This is I'm considering this my Jordan flu game. Been running a fever the last 2 days. That Brian Daboll video certainly took a lot out of me, but it's been pretty cool to get the recognition for it. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, man. 49ers team is tough. We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, and they have all pros across the board, right? And they've got a quarterback who kind of operates the offense the way one of the best coaches in the game, Kyle Shanahan, exactly how he wants it. And you look at, since he's joined the lineup, they haven't lost the game. And you look at his raw stats. I know, it's more than raw stats, but it's some of the best numbers to an NFL career, a starting career ever.
I mean, what has there been 9 games that he started? 7 of them have been 30 points or more. The Giants have scored 30 points or more in 2 games since 2019.
Yeah, they're averaging 30 points per game. So we'll get into all of it. First, this episode was brought to you by some special people. These people are, Justin, they are. We got Richard Hampson from the Hamptons, John R., and the R stands for returning listener, Calvin Tazich, and then Jay Garcia. Yeah, I'm gonna say something. This guy's last name is Garcia, but he sounded it out. That makes me want to pronounce your name wrong. I know how to pronounce Garcia. Jay, Billy Don, he's the Don. John Alley, the Don in the alley. Motis Chile. Alexandre LePage, Kareem Kazwani, Carson Bunn, Troy Tassone, Eric Sackle. He's got a satchel. Troy Tassone, he's got a pizzone. Lucas Waderka, James Delory from the DeLorean, Stephen Martimucci, reminds me of Steve Mariucci, Joshua. We got some freaking last names. I don't know what something about winning. Sally P16. Not P15, P16, Andrew Smith. Thank you, Andrew, for having the most boring name ever. And just Derek, regular old Derek. Justin, who are these people?
Patreon.com/TalkingGiants. You can go to that site, $2 a month plus some other tiers. Hang out with us live while we record the shows. Most likely, we're going to be sad on Thursday night. It'll be early Friday morning by the time that we record. Patreon.com/TalkingGiants. There's a lot of benefits. There's a lot of perks. Bobby Skinner, before we actually get to the 49ers preview, we didn't actually talk about this. You didn't actually you didn't give any opinion when we were talking about the video or anything. Also didn't congratulate me for being on WFAN. You just complained that Tiki Barber gave me credit for a film review that you did. What do you actually think happened? Do you think Daboll was calling the plays or not? Because it's a hot topic in the streets.
I don't. I think he might have been a little more involved in spitting out some plays to Kafka, but actually calling the plays, no, I don't. I mean, Duggan and Charlotte Carroll did a nice article on it.
That's what I was going to reference. Yeah.
And I mean, that's a huge, that's a huge thing to take that, just strip that role from Kafka.
But also the game is moving so fast. How are you? I don't know how Daboll is communicating what he wants for a current play or for the next play, while the current play is happening and before you see the result of a play. So, that is a lot of communication that's happening. All right, well, if we get 3 yards on a 2nd and 7, if we get 7 yards to make it 2nd and 3, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I'm thinking. That's a lot of communication to be happening before you even know the result of something while you're also watching the result. That's a lot.
Yeah, so, I don't think Daboll at halftime decided, hey, I'm taking away the
no, he was doing it the whole game. It wasn't just the second half. He was doing whatever he was doing the whole game.
No, so I don't think he was calling plays. All right, so let's get into this 49ers team, Justin. And it all starts on offense for the 49ers with their run game, right? I mean, Christian McCaffrey is leading the NFL in rushing. He's averaging 6.4 yards per carry. They're averaging 173 yards per game and not much a contribution from the quarterback. And number one in the NFL in an efficiency standpoint. Obviously, we all know how good of a back Christian McCaffrey is. And their offensive line is not great, right? And we'll talk about that in the pass offense too, besides Trent Williams. Like left guard through right tackle aren't good, very good for them. But what they do is, one, Christian McCaffrey's awesome at influencing linebackers. And when they play their zone, that's what allows backs to influence those linebackers and cut off them. And Kyle Juszczyk and George Kittle on the edges, their wide receivers are a huge part of their blocking. I mean, Justin, they have an all-pro left tackle, 2 stud wide receivers, an all-pro tight end, halfback, and fullback. And every single one of those guys listed contributes a lot in both the pass and the run. Like their wide receivers are a huge part of their run game. And honestly, their run game has been a little boom or bust the first couple of games of the season. And a big part of that is wide receivers blocking down the field because they have given up some negative runs, but they've been able to pop those big ones.
Yeah, I think even last week, Bobby, did McCaffrey I think he had like 20 attempts, but maybe only 3 or 4 of them went for 5 or more yards. But here's my main concern about this Giants defense heading into this game. They're a team that's still blitzing at an above average rate. I don't really feel like they are. Like, I don't feel like Wink Martindale has really gotten in his bag with these blitzes this year. But according to the numbers, the Giants are still a team that blitzes at an above average rate. They have no sacks on the year. They are getting pressures at a below average rate, despite having a above average blitz rate. And Brock Purdy is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL from throwing from a clean pocket. That's my big worry.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to talk a little more about the run game, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, well, I think we're going to allow a lot of big runs too, like Christian McCaffrey and.
Well, here's the thing: Micah McFadden played really bad.
Yeah,
they traded for Isaiah Simmons. They want to play Isaiah Simmons. I'm kind of expecting and he's dealing with a neck injury, anyways. But there's Papa hinted at it a little bit. I think McFadden's going to the bench because he was very, very bad. And again, I'm not expecting Isaiah Simmons to come in and be some great linebacker because he hasn't been that in his NFL career. But I think they're like, hey, at least this guy's athleticism isn't going to stop us from plays. Where McFadden, did some good things, but couldn't finish because he didn't have the athletic ability or strength to finish those plays off. Where he was, he missed 4 tackles in this past game. That being said, I'm not super pumped about having Isaiah Simmons in the lineup either because he misses tackles a lot too, right? More so in the open field than with like Micah McFadden did. But there's going to be issues and this is a game, Justin, offensively or defensively for the Giants, and this can lead into the passing game. Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, and Kayvon Thibodeau, I don't give a shit what happened these first 2 games of the season. If the Giants have any chance, they need to dominate up front. Like even Dexter Lawrence needs to who's been playing good, has to step up. They have Trent Williams. Left guard to right tackle is bad, right? If you talk to a 49ers fan, that's their worry about this 49ers team is left guard through right tackle has been very bad for them. So for the Giants to win this game or get it close or stay in this game, Dex can't just be good. Dex has to dominate them up front and be chaotic, right? Leonard Williams has to be really good. Kayvon Thibodeau, you have to win when you're facing in the right tackle. And Wink Martindale, we talk about, what's Kayvon being asked to do? Ask him to rush the passer because that's what he was drafted 5th overall to do. Ask him to rush the passer. That needs to be the responsibility for Kayvon Thibodeau to get front. We have 0 sacks. So maybe change his responsibility to rushing the passer. That being said, as bad as left guard to right tackle is for them, they scheme around it. And Kyle Juszczyk, the all-pro fullback every year, he helps them a lot in that, man. He really helps in their pass protection. And obviously in the run game, they get out on the edges. And they like to run 2 tight end sets. Right, and those tight ends stay in and help and block, and Kittle's obviously a great blocker. But if you're the Giants, it's like we have to dominate up front to create negative runs and get them to third down because they're middle of the road third down. And Brock Purdy is not going to be great throwing the ball down the field outside the numbers, right? So you got to put pressure on them and create negative plays because you're not going to beat them down in, down out. You have to create negative plays to get them on third down. And also hope that it finally bursts with Purdy and you get some turnovers and some of these bad throws that Purdy has, you make them pay for. Because Purdy is 9 for 10 this season between 10 and 20 yards, 158 yards, super efficient over there. But he's 1 for 5 on 20-plus yard throws and only for 31 yards.
Yeah, had some bad misses last week.
He misses on these deep outside throws, which kind of talks to the arm strength. So if you're Wink Martindale, man, you gotta come after them. Like this is a game where you got nothing to lose. So go after their ass and speed up the clock for Purdy. Because if you're not consistently pressuring, what the 49ers do offensively is just too good, and they're going to score 30 points on you.
Yeah, and it's frustrating that I feel like this has happened a decent amount of times. Why has it felt like there's been some games where we're saying Wink Martindale should be aggressive here, Wink Martindale should be aggressive here, and he's not? Like we said it last week, how like against Josh Dobbs, bad quarterback, this is the game to really be aggressive and start to throw curveballs and dictate the terms of the game. And the Giants weren't. And I felt like just feel like certain games where the Giants defense should be dictating the terms of the game, at least schematically. They just haven't. And I certainly hope that that's not the case tomorrow night. And the thing that Kyle Shanahan does best more than any other coach in the NFL, Bob, because you were talking about interior linebacker, if they do choose to put Micah McFadden out there a lot, and even Isaiah Simmons isn't a very good every down linebacker. I think he's very good as a weapon and as a versatile tool. Kyle Shanahan is very, very good at pinpointing the weak spot in a defense and especially attacking interior linebackers. Where are they? What are they doing? How can we expose them? And that is what he is going to do. And that is what he has done for years. And that's what makes him so great, is that he can find the weak point in your defense and he exposes it.
And I think for them in this game, they're going to be like, hey, we're going to run the ball, right? But in the passing game, like they also have Brandon Ayuk, right, who has 11 catches, 172 yards this year on a 78% catch rate, who does well versus man coverage, and he just kind of dominates at the stem of the route, Justin. With him individually, this is where we have the conversation with Adoree in the slot. Do you and Adoree has not looked like, there's been a lot of miscommunications and stuff. I think this is, you maybe consider, and especially this team, because they're going to put you in your base defense a lot more. You kind of just plan for Adoree on the outside.
And who's going to be in the slot?
Cordell Flott. They don't put the slot. They don't. Who is like, you know, like they put Debo in there, and Ayuk will go in there in a little bit. But
well, I mean, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm licking my chops if Cordell Flott's in there because he will.
But they like to get in those two tight end sets. You're going to be in your base a lot.
Well,
They put the fullback on the field. They're going to be in their base defense a lot. So really, it's kind of I guess it's not that important of a conversation because you only have two corners out there a lot of the time.
If they're not running out of 11 personnel, then put Adoree on the outside, and then Trey Hawkins can get a play off. But when they're running 11 personnel or there's 4 wide receivers on the field, then I think Adoree kind of just has to stay in the slot, even though he's not like a slot corner.
But Ayuk kills at the stem, right? And because Purdy's not making those deep outside throws, like you kind of have to either play with inside leverage if you're a corner, or you got to give help. Like you kind of got to be looking to bracket over there because that's where Purdy likes to go. And then on their play action and stuff, Kyle Shanahan's going to throw a lot of smoke and mirrors at you, right? Like there was one play where they line up Christian McCaffrey by himself on the outside. They motion Daboll to that side behind the line, behind the back. They flood everything over there, and then Purdy's looking at it, pops back, hits George Kittle on a slant. So they're going to throw a lot at you, and you just kind of got to be keyed in. And that's why, if there's any chance against this offense, I think it really comes from a simple game plan of like get after, like blitz and play man coverage and give help where it's needed on Brandon Ayuk. Like I really think it's It's a simple game plan because what they do is they try and make it confusing for you. So when they do that, you get in man coverage, you blitz, and you got to communicate well when they're throwing rub routes and stuff at you. Because if you don't think Kyle Shanahan saw these first 2 weeks of film, then then you're crazy, because they're gonna throw that stuff at you until you can start defending it.
Yeah, easier said than done. Got to stop the run first, and there's just no confidence that they're going to be able to do that. You're muted.
For the Giants offense, you got no Andrew Thomas or Ben Bredesen declared out.
Oh, also Azeez Ojulari is out for the Giants defense.
Yeah. Their pass rush is just lethal. You have the defensive player of the year, Nick Bosa. Through 2 games, they have 6 sacks, 9 hits, and 41 pressures. That's 28 times they're affecting the quarterback per game. Per game. Their sack leader is their other edge in Jake Jackson with 3. And then on the middle, you have Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead. Both guys with All-Pro and award and Pro Bowls, and even Javon Kinlaw starting to produce. Cleveland Farrell has 3 QB hits for them. I mean, they have 3 defensive tackles in the top 20 in pass rush win rate. That being said, I'd rather face them than the Cowboys front, because the way the Cowboys play is, hey, we're going to come after your ass. We're going to put Micah Parsons in the A-gap. We're going to stunt you to death. And the 49ers will do a little bit of that. But for the most part, they're disciplined in their rush. And I think that's where the Giants can maybe hold up like half a second more, like not have a Dallas pressure game, like have a game where you're pressured consistently, but not have a game where the pass rush is just relentless and gives you no shot. Because the Giants up front are having I don't know why Marcus McKeithen has like this, oh, he had a good game. He actually, to me, had a pretty bad game, but the Cardinals pass rush just sucked. And he had a lot of bad, blitz and stunt pickup. They're going to go after Neal. I mean, this is a game where their front, if you're a 49ers fan, you're licking your chops. If you're the 40, like this front is just set to dominate. You have Josh Azuda at left guard. Mark Lewinsky's moving to left. JMS's first big test. I think this is a bigger test than facing Parsons in the A-gap a few snaps in the game. And then McKeithen and Neal on the right side. This is a game where it could be over. It could be like week 1 again, where it's just overwhelming, down in, down out.
Bobby, before we keep going with the Giants offense, I want to talk to you about SeatGeek, because today's episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. If you don't know what SeatGeek is, what are you doing? They're a ticketing app that makes buying tickets super, super simple. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app ever in the world. There are more than 70,000 events every single day on SeatGeek, including sports, concerts, festivals, and more. They always want to make sure that you're getting a good deal. So when you're on the app, look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee, and SeatGeek is the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps. Love me some swaps. We've got the hookup. Use code GIANTS for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code GIANTS. Click the link in the description to download the app. Bobby Skinner, you'll be glad you did. What makes the 49ers pass rush, I think, so impressive. We said the same thing about Dallas in a way too, except I think there's, let me know if I'm wrong, Bobby. I think there's less smoke and mirrors with what the 49ers do compared to the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to throw more at you.
On the front, at least.
Yeah, on the front. Because they're dropping a lot of guys back into coverage. The 49ers have the 7th lowest blitz rate in the NFL, and they're known for dropping a lot of guys back into coverage, which, hey, they have the front 4 to win. They have the front 4 to kind of dominate up front. So so here, I told you, I let you know what my concern was on the defensive side of the ball. Hey, about how the Giants, they don't get pressure on the quarterback despite blitzing a lot. My concern on the offensive side of the ball is that everything was predicated off of under center play action in the second half. Everything in the second half, all the big explosive plays. I don't know if Matt Breida is going to demand the same attention that Saquon Barkley would, like in a play action game, right? I don't know if that is going to be the same effectiveness. And also, now that you put that on film, the 49ers are expecting it. However, there have been some issues execution-wise. Like, there were plays that Daniel Jones and the Giants did leave on the table in the first half, even some of it coming out of the shotgun. So that's my worry, and that's my concern coming into this game. Under center play action, very heavily relying on that in the second half. Are you going to be able to replicate that against 49ers, who drops a lot of guys back into coverage?
Well, and this is where it's different than Dallas, where Dallas is like, hey, we're going to rush the passer and we're going to be in man coverage. So you're going to have to beat our man coverage, right? Where the 49ers, where you have a little more of a chance, is they play in two high coverages and they kind of keep stuff in front of them, right? And work, like, so you can work the quick game. They give up a lot of yak, so it's like, hey, get the slot guys involved. Get Isaiah Hodgins in the quick game. And the Giants now have Darren Waller. And, some of the film that I went through when the Giants traded for Waller was versus the 49ers and him winning versus these guys. So I think what you do is, like you said, get under center and get in 12 personnel. Get in 12 personnel where Bellinger is helping blocking, obviously, correct? And then the running back is helping blocking. And you kind of use Waller as a slot. Like as this big slot versus this team, because again, he's one versus Warner, he's one versus these corners, and the 49ers corners aren't very good, and they're not very good in a defense that doesn't play aggressive. So it means kind of you can take advantage of that quick game. If you watch Stafford, they work quick game. Everything was quick, and then Stafford made a couple big time throws. By the way, Stafford running back also popped up an interception, and then gave me flashback to the first two games of the season. So it's like they're not now they'll disguise stuff. It's not like the Cardinals where they live in too high and they're just aggressive out of it. They disguise stuff. They'll rotate late. Halafunga will go and make plays. So it's like you got to be on your P's and Q's to make sure to not get fooled post snap and you end up throwing a pick on a slant flat because the linebacker is screaming over the top or is screaming underneath that. But you're gonna have to work the quick game. You're gonna have to work yak, and then, like you said, get in 12 personnel and take your shots when you're there. Hyatt. There's no reason to not have some pre-planned stuff for Hyatt. To get in under center, have 7 guys blocking, maybe even 8, and take your shots. Or have him create space underneath for the Slaytons. Because you're gonna have to have some of those plays. But I think the down in, down out offense, passing wise, will have to be a lot of quick game.
All right, so let me ask you this. I know we're talking about the passing game. But it was thought it was kind of strange how it's Wednesday evening. And I think this came out even Wednesday afternoon. Like, the official injury report came out. And like after there was a chance that Andrew Thomas was going to play last week, already ruled out for Thursday. So Andrew Thomas out. And then, Saquon Barkley, after we were told, oh, he's a quick healer. We pulled that bullshit again. Saquon Barkley's a quick healer, superhuman healer. He was already ruled out. So that smoke screen was gone. Let's talk about the offensive line first. Left tackle, the right tackle. What's going to be the alignment? And Ben Bredesen's out too. So left tackle, the right tackle. Who's going to be playing? Who's going to be starting?
It'll be like the end of this last game of Zudu, Kowinski, JMS, McKeith, and Neal. And they're going to get beat.
Yeah.
The thing is like in a game like this, you kind of want to lean on the run a little bit. And I think you do, but they're going to create negatives, right? And you got no Saquon Barkley. They haven't allowed a 70-yard rusher in 30 straight games, which is kind of a wild stat, especially for a team that kind of can live in some too high zones. Breida and Brightwell are going to be the backs. Unless Eric Gray had this transformation overnight as a pass protector, I'm still firmly don't put him on the field unless it's like a 2 snaps and you're handing the ball off. But you cannot have him, as he will cause turnovers and sacks if you put him on the field on more than a play here and there.
Yeah, I also don't think he showed a ton as a runner in the preseason either. I mean, he showed some cuts now and then, and he showed some power, but I do feel a little bit better about Brightwell's ability to kind of hit the hole, and Matt Breida's speed. Matt Breida revenge game. Shout out.
I mean, anything else you got on this before we bring Danny King?
No. I mean, they got to create explosives, but it's going to be hard to create explosives. You want You want to maybe get a running game going because maybe they'll give you some light boxes, but the offensive line is very suspect. And without Saquon Barkley, it gets a lot tougher. Hey, maybe Daniel Jones can create some explosives on the ground with his legs, whether that's designed or whether it's not designed. No design QB runs on third down, please. Let's stop that. That's it. It's gonna be a tough game, Bobby Skinner.
Thursday Night Football, baby. I love it. All right, let's bring on Danny King.
How cool would it be if we won, though?
Fantastic.
We bring Danny King on for weather and trivia. I wish Danny would have told me that it'd be the biggest storm of, I guess, the week down here in Florida with lightning in the background. Danny, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I've just been so focused on San Francisco because the vibes are high. I can tell. I sense the energy from y'all. Great game coming tomorrow. Great game coming tomorrow night. It's actually gonna be nice in San Francisco. I don't think I'll get this weather report wrong as bad as I did the Dallas game because it's going to be 72 degrees. It's going to be a nice warm night in Santa Clara. Stays low about like 67. That'll be like the fourth quarter. It'll be windy though. It'll be like 13 miles per hour. So if you're going to the game, one, have fun. Two, just bring a jacket. I'll say bring a jacket. That's what I'm going to do.
Bring a light jacket.
I wish. It's freaking brutal down here in Florida. Danny, do you have trivia for us this week?
I do. I'm just keeping it simple this week because I know last few weeks I've been doing like specific games, but this week I wanted to see who has the most rushing yards in a single game against the 49ers. All time, one game, single rushing yards. And I will let you know, it is a player from modern day. I'm not going back to 1954 or whatever. It is a modern day player.
Justin, I'm going to answer this first. Or no, I want you to answer this first. Sorry, because I have my answers. I want you to go first.
05, like that was a game that we just kicked ass. I'll say Tiki Barber.
I'm going to throw a curveball in here, and I'm hoping this is it, just so Justin didn't get it right. Was this the Orleans Darkwa had a big game versus the 49ers?
Oh, this
that
is
year.
it. Oh,
was
no.
it Darkwa or was it one of those other years?
It was unfortunately not Orleans Darkwa, neither Tiki Barber.
We split so many carries between Jacobs and Bradshaw and all them.
At least according to what I'm looking at here on Pro Football Reference, it was our guy Ahmad Bradshaw. He had 116 yards in the 2012 game against the 49ers.
I knew we ran all over them that game,
in which we won 26-3. So maybe we'll get another 26-3 game. I ain't saying.
That was an awesome game where we just came back, beat them in the NFC Championship, and then kicked their ass the next year. Okay, all right. So time for our fantasy draft, where we draft players from the Giants team and the opponent to get some matchup talk and some competition. Justin will be picking first. He's had a good outing last week with 45 points. He is in second place. I will be picking second, but I'm in first. I had a 63-point outing in week 2. I've got a 39-point lead over Justin. Only 2 weeks into the season, and you're in last 51 points back after a 33-point outing. So not a bad outing from either of you guys. I just had a great outing because I kept on taking Hyatt, and it paid off. Justin, you have the first pick this week. Who are you going with?
I'm going with Christian McCaffrey. I think he's scored a touchdown in like 11 consecutive games. I hope it's not 12, but hey, it's likely to be 12.
Yeah, I mean that's a very easy choice. Obviously, I'm actually looking at records. Last year, my high was 6. The high score was 6. I was a half a point off of last year's. Season high.
No.
I'm going to Brandon Ayuk. I mean, he's been really productive for them. Obviously, there's nobody on the Giants' offense that's like a clear cut should have a big game. Waller, obviously, but I'm going to go Brandon Ayuk. Especially if they got him. If they're going to get him on Banks and Hawkins.
Yeah, you know. I was trying to – well, first I'm going to go Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel, give it to me. And I was thinking –
this is sad. We're all 49ers first round.
And I was thinking, do I want to take a Giant here, take a guy that's probably going to see the most volume of any Giants player this week? But I won't because I don't believe Daniel Jones will have any time in the pocket, basically, I think. So I'm taking George Kittle. I have not letting George Kittle slip by me. I'm just going to take 2 dominant players and I hope the Giants defense stops them. Don't get me wrong. Giants defense still doesn't look like the best right now, though. They're still trying to find their groove. And
the tight ends killed the Giants last week. Even their corners, like Trey McBride was like cooking Deontay Banks. All right, so I get the Giants' #1 pick with my first pick, or my second pick in the 5th round. I'm going Darren Waller.
Woo!
He had 3 catches for over 100 yards and a touchdown versus the 49ers last year. Now it's coming back off the injury. He's the Giants' best player by far. And he's, by the way, I didn't realize this because he had the week 1 game. There's only 36 yards. He's leading the NFL in tight end receiving yards. Number one.
Wow.
Number 1. Darren.
And you still don't feel like he's like hit his stride. You know what I mean?
Literally.
Well, it's because Hyatt had like the Hyatt and the big plays kind of popped off. And then Waller was just kind of efficient with like 9, 10, 12, 15, and then the 125-yarder. Justin, you have back-to-back picks.
Yeah, I'll go and I'm taking a Giant first just so it shows up a little bit better. I'll go Jalen Hyatt. Hey, there's a lot of talk. Let's get 13 more involved. Let's get him out there for more snaps. This is a risky pick because he may not get the big play with the 49ers really trying to target him, and they may force the Giants to throw underneath. But if it does hit, why not, right? Why not? And then I will be going with Deebo Samuel. The Giants' defense.
That's weird. Danny took him.
I took Deebo. So
oh, wow, look at that.
Just not possible.
Not possible.
Jalen Hyatt go. He going from the 12th pick to the 6th pick. Upgrade.
Do I want to go with Giants? I mean, I feel like I have to go with Giant here.
Well, you really
I could go Elijah Mitchell. Give me Matt Breida as the starting Giants running back.
Matt Breida off the board.
Investing in my Giants players.
All right, this is
go Giants.
I'm going to take Isaiah Hodgins because I do think he is. I'm going to take Isaiah Hodgins because I think because they're working a quick game, this is going to be there's going to be some volume for Hodgins. So I'm going to go Isaiah Hodgins. And I'm hoping I can get. Anyways, I'm not gonna give too much, but I'm really hoping I can get somebody with my last pick. Danny, you have back-to-back picks.
So I'm gonna take a Giant because I am indeed a Giants fan. I'm gonna take Darius Slayton here.
Yeah.
Okay. Gonna take Darius Slayton, and then I'm looking at like the rest of the 49ers, and I truly can't figure out who I want to go with. So I'm gonna take probably a dumb decision. I'm gonna take another Giant here, and
don't do it.
I'm definitely not the guy Bobby wants. I feel like I'm just going to take Isaiah Hodgins. I'll just give
him what is wrong with you guys today? I took Isaiah Hodgins.
Paris Campbell. I meant Paris Campbell. I was looking at Hodges on my list, and then I saw Paris Campbell right under him.
To be fair, Danny, I didn't hear Bobby take Isaiah Hodgins.
I'm
sick.
Like I said, what's wrong with both of you guys? I didn't.
I'm sick.
Danny.
That's what's wrong with me. I have a fever.
I don't know.
I'm going to explain in a little bit why I wanted Paris Campbell, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get a little weird.
Giant factor.
This is a game where Yak is going to be important.
Oh.
I'm going to take Wan'Dale Robinson. And if he doesn't play, if he doesn't play, I'll trade him.
Wow.
But I am going to go Wan'Dale Robinson with my last pick. Justin, what's your last pick?
I have 1 pick or 2 picks left.
This is your last pick.
This is my last pick. I will take Juwan Jennings.
Ugh.
That's the smart pick.
He can get some big plays every now and then. It's funny. I liked him. He was coming out of Tennessee. He's had a nice little NFL career so far.
All right. So to recap, Justin, who's in second place, has Christian McCaffrey, Jalen Hyatt, Matt Breida, and Juwan Jennings. Me, who's in first, Brandon Ayuk, Darren Waller, Isaiah Hodgins, and Wan'Dale Robinson. And then Danny has Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Darius Slayton, and Paris Campbell. It's time for Giant Factors. Justin, who is your week 3 Giant Factor?
Bobby, can we talk about something first?
No.
No.
We only have 2 ads, right?
We have 3.
Didn't say that on Monday.
Let's talk about something. Miracle Made, Bobby Skinner, Danny King. Did you know that your temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality?
Oh, I did not.
Oh, wow. Well, guess what? Inspired by NASA, Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics and makes temperature-regulating bedding so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. One of the best sheets ever. Gave my mother these sheets. It's like, here's the gift to you, from me to you, even though I got them for free because Miracle Made sent us some because they're very nice. But here's a gift for you. And she's like, I love them. I never want to change my sheets ever again because they're self-cleaning and they're designed for your skin. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, which can clog your pores, allowing them to stay cleaner and fresher 3 times longer than other sheets. There's also luxurious comfort and quality. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. Go to trymiracle.com/giants to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you could save over 40%. If you use our promo code GIANTS at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/giants. Use the code GIANTS, claim your free 3-piece towel set, and save over 40%. Again, that's trymiracle.com/giants to treat yourself. Thank you to Miracle Made for sponsoring this episode. Danny King, you'll be glad you did. And Bobby Skinner.
Justin, your week 3 Giant factor.
My week 3 Giant factor. Josh Azudu. I mentioned this in the post-game recap last week. And I asked, hey, is there a world where Andrew Thomas comes back and Josh Azudu plays somewhat well enough at left tackle where we can start having a conversation of should Josh Azudu stay at tackle and nipping at the heels of Evan Neal moving to right tackle? I'm not rooting for the 7th overall pick of the 2022 draft to fail, but man, right tackle not looking too hot. If Josh Azudu can put together a second game against a much better opponent where we're looking at him saying he's not a disaster, his feet look good, he's getting out there in his sets. Josh Azudu, you're my Giant factor. Go out there, have another solid game, and start to turn the narrative around on who you are as a draft pick, and maybe let's start to have a conversation on if you deserve to be the right tackle.
My Giant factor for week 3 is someone who was signed in the offseason, hasn't had, this big impact. He's been like their 5th receiver, essentially on this team. And I'm going Paris Campbell. Wan'Dale Robinson. He's ramping up, ready to go. This guy they drafted in the second round. He's wanting to play. He had 100 yards in his last game played for the New York Giants. This game versus the 49ers, like I said, they sit back in their zones. They give some stuff up underneath. They give up the quick game versus zone coverage. That's what you do well, Paris Campbell. But they also, what they do is give up yak. And that is what we expected to be the improvement over Richie James for Paris Campbell. Not just catching those, the slot passes that happen in this offense and being a part of this system, but adding to that and adding the yak to that. Now he's added a deep element where, even though he hasn't given credit for it, where he's been respected by some safeties and created plays for other guys. But be the guy who catches the quick game stuff, but also gets the yak afterwards. And obviously with Saquon out, maybe you'll get a couple of looks in the backfield here or there. But you're known as a yak guy, Paris Campbell. This is a defense. If there's any weakness, it's the quick game and giving up yak. So Paris Campbell, you are my week 3 Giant factor. Danny.
You guys talked about earlier in the show about how the Giants need to generate a pass rush because they have barely any pressure. And this guy's been talked about a lot this week. They're saying it's his head not with the Giants right now. It's his head even in the game. I'm going Kayvon Thibodeau. Like we said, I have a deal 7th round pick. Kayvon Thibodeau, you have proven yourself to be a quality pass rusher. Where you've been these past few weeks. I ain't giving up on you. That's not what I'm saying. But go out there and do something this week. Show these people that your mind is still with the New York Giants. So while you're just sitting on your bench, you were just having your moment to try and collect yourself before going out there for a big drive. Kayvon, we need a pass rush this week because if we don't generate anything, it is going to be a long Thursday night game. I want to have feelings that our defense can keep us in this game because that's the only way we do win this game. So Kayvon, I could have tabbed anyone, but I'm tapping you because you're still the future of this team no matter what at the end of the day. So Kayvon, you're my Giant factor.
I want to say something, because this was a topic on Twitter this week. I don't mind him sitting on the bench because, hey, if you want to eat, you got to get locked in whatever way you want. But Leonard Williams did this a couple years ago, and then he even said this week where fans were booing us, and that just when we were down, and that just reminds me that the only people that matter are the people in this room. Yeah, bro, you were getting outscored 70-0 within the first 6 quarters of the year, 60-0 within the first 6 quarters of the year. Booing is the least harmful thing that a fan can do. And I will never we're the only people that matter in this room. If you got to tell yourself that, great. But
I don't care that mindset, but the complaining about booing, it's okay,
come on.
Dude, it's the most dumbest thing in this world.
You were getting outscored 60-0.
At least like what was the Mets player that did the thumbs down back in the
Javi
crowd?
Baez.
I love that. Dude,
I love that.
I love the energy for like, hey, I don't give it like then you're not on our side, you're not on our side. But why are our fans booing? I was like, dude, get over yourself. And also even if again, there's more to the story than just, hey, Kayvon, where's the pass rush? You got to show up. To be this media darling, you gotta show up and be consistently great. I don't care if Nick Bosa doesn't have any sacks this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's still affecting the game a lot. Kayvon wasn't, and there's some stuff on film that he's done solid against the run game, but there's been some bad stuff too that's allowed big plays. So, Kayvon Thibodeau will be a giant factor.
Yeah.
All right, it's time
and it
for
does
spread.
suck that it does suck that Brock Purdy gets rid of the ball very quick too. So that's not boding well for Kayvon Thibodeau's impact on the game.
Dominate the guy in front of you. I don't care if the ball's out or not. Dominate the guy in front.
Also, just want to make it clear: last giant factor I picked, he got benched. So I'm really hoping Kayvon does not get.
You're on fire this year. What did you pick? Who did you pick? Evan Neal week 1.
Evan Neal week 1. Mark Lewinsky week 2 got benched. Kayvon Thibodeau, what's he gonna do this week?
You're on fire.
Nothing will ever beat me picking Janoris Jenkins.
Oh no, that was
less than 12 hours before he was released from the team. I think Danny, you picked Golden Tate the day before he got suspended. The Joe Judge self-imposed suspension.
Classic.
I'm sure there's been some other funny ones. All right, it's time for spread picks. The listeners, man, they're doing well. They were the only one of us that didn't go 2-6 last week. Me, you, and Justin all went 2-6. So Justin's in the last 6-10. I'm 7-9. Danny, you're 8-8. The listeners are 11-5 after going 4-4. But first, Danny, who are spread picks brought to us by?
They're brought to you by our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Because, guys, I'm not sure if you're aware, but things are heating up in the ballpark. Every team is playing to finish the season strong and make it to the playoffs. With DraftKings Sportsbook, you won't miss a moment of the baseball action. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on baseball. Plus, all customers can take a crack at a sweet payday with DraftKings same-game parlays. String together multiple bets from a single game for your shot at a major payout. My advice, don't bet on the Mets. They're awful this year. That's my baseball advice for you. So what I need you to do, though, is to go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use World. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bet for betting just $5 on baseball. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code WORLD. The crown is yours. And now the fun part. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles, 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. See dkng.com/baseball for eligibility, terms, and responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. You'll be glad you did.
Danny, the chat is asking why you didn't comb your hair.
I was going to ask you the same thing.
Well, because I got back from the gym just before this, and so and you also look.
So you were at the gym like that?
No. It was done, but I don't know. I did like this, and also hear me out. Last time I gelled the hair, Giants lost 40-0. I didn't do the hair last week. They won. Superstition. Thank you, Julian. At least someone appreciates the hair in this chat.
Okay, spread picks. First game, we got Bills at Commanders plus 6.5. The listeners are going Bills minus 6.5. They're represented by Stephen Pannone, one of our Patreon members. This is my pick in the against the spread pick this league this week. I'm going Bills minus 6.5. The Commanders are they're not good, right? I didn't really watch much of that Denver game, but there was nothing inspiring against their game against the Commanders or against the Cardinals. I'm going Bills minus 6.5. I think they win this game pretty easily, and the Bills kind of remind people hey, we are still a pretty damn good team. Danny, who are you going?
I'm going to go against the grain because I'm trying to be different. I'm going to go the Commanders plus 6.5. Now, I know, obviously, they gave up Hail Mary to end the game last week. Nothing, great. But I think the Commanders can just give the Bills a run for their money this week. I mean, the Commanders got nothing to lose this season, basically. It's all for fun because they have a new owner that has a lot of money, and I love money.
Justin, who do you got? Both teams have new owners. I guess the Broncos aren't that
do.
new, but they're
Yeah.
kind of new.
This is a tough one, man, because Commanders are 2-0, first time since 2011. They scored 30 points for the first time since 2020 against the Broncos last week. I thought Eric Bieniemy had a really good game plan and kind of taking care of Sam Howell with selective shots now and then. Sam Howell does take a lot of sacks, and he's not very good with feeling pressure. And the Bills did look really good against the Raiders, even after allowing an opening score. I'm going to go Bills -6.5. I was thinking the Commanders might cover, but Bills are just so much better.
Falcons at Lions -3.5. This is a tough one because I love the Falcons, but the Lions are probably the better team, and the Falcons are still playing Desmond Ridder, who might be the worst starting quarterback in the NFL right now. That being said, I just love that Falcons run game. Detroit's interior defensive line is really rough. And I think the Falcons they're going to at least keep this within 3. I'm going Falcons +3.5. The listeners are disagreeing with me. They're going Lions. Which one do you have for this one, Justin?
I have Lions -3.5. Falcons are a team that I do like, but I just don't think they match up well against the Lions because the Lions can put up a lot of points in a hurry, and the Falcons do not put up a lot of points in a hurry, where they're kind of like a slow, methodical team that's going to eat away at you. So I'm going to go Lions -3.5.
Daniel.
Falcons being 2-0 is just so funny to me. I don't know what it is. St.
I
Brown,
love them.
is he going to play
them
this?
and hate their quarterback.
Yeah, that's true. Their quarterback is pretty bad. Is St. Brown going to play this week? I don't know. I don't think that really affects it for the Lions, though. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying he doesn't affect their game plan, but I think they're just outright better than the Falcons at this point. I think this is not even a bounce back game for the Lions because they played a close game last week in Seattle, but this is a game they should win with ease if they really are contenders in the North.
All right. Patriots at Jets +3. What do you have in this one, Danny?
I don't care how bad the Patriots look right now. They own the Jets. They legally have rights over the Jets, more so than Woody Johnson. So I'm taking the Patriots here to cover and beat the Jets.
I will never not take the Patriots over a Zach Wilson-led offense. Bill Belichick is, I mean, this was the game that led to the downfall of Zach Wilson, essentially. Bill Belichick is going to have this man in hell. And this Jets team, by the way, I was talking with someone about it. I'm like, they're all behind Zach Wilson now. Watch how quickly this immature locker room flips. And it's already happening. People complaining on Twitter. Sauce Gardner crying because people on Twitter are mean. Like, Patriots -3. The listeners disagree. Justin, are you going with us or with the listeners?
Yeah, I'm going with all of you. I mean, 1 week where they're, 1-0 and, signature win against the Bills and then losing to a very good Dallas team. And you already have Breece Hall saying that he's not getting enough touches. Like
the reason they lost is because he didn't get enough touches.
One game, and it's already falling apart.
I was talking about it with Rose. And they're like, I was like, all sounds good now. I was like, what happens after these next 3 games? And
it's already happening.
Yeah. I don't care how bad the Patriots offense is. I will never pick a Zach Wilson team versus Bill Belichick. Saints at Packers -2.5, which is like you got a 2-0 team versus a 1-1 team, and it's like, how good is each team? What do you got in this one, Justin?
Derek Carr inside the red zone is not very fun. And I think that's going to really prohibit like where this team can go. Like, I think the Saints could be a team that could maybe even easily win the NFC South, but if they're not turning red zone opportunities into touchdowns, that's going to limit them. Packers, Christian Watson and Aaron Jones playing or being out like really does influence my decision here. I do think both of them will be back, hopefully. Packers -2.5. They're home, so Packers -2.5.
Yeah, I agree. The Saints are probably a 2-0 team that I just hate. Like, watching them play versus the Titans and even a little versus the Panthers, and it was just like, this is hard to watch. And they've got good receivers, like Thomas is back, Chris Olave, and it's nothing looks good with them. The Packers, they have some of their own issues, but I think they're doing a good job with Jordan Love, but they're not asking him to do much, and they're putting him in good spots. So I'm going Packers. The listeners are going Packers. Danny, you going with us or against everyone?
I'm gonna be going Packers because the Packers are 2-0 against the spread this year. I mean, hopefully Jordan Love does not fall under center like he did last week against the Falcons. But yeah, I mean, they haven't looked bad, quite frankly. And I think this is another winnable game for them, especially with Matt LaFleur calling plays. Because I still like him as a coordinator, not a coordinator, a head coach, very much.
Titans at Browns -3. This is an ugly game. It's crazy how bad the Browns have looked when they're off, at least offensively. But I love what they're doing defensively. Like, I love what the Browns are doing defensively. Titans bounced back versus the Chargers last week. But it's like, I just can't pick the Browns to beat any team by more than 3 points, even though they have already. So I'm just going to go Titans +3. Like, Mike Vrabel's got a good. It's a well-coached team. The Titans kind of do this, right? Like last year, they lost week 1. This is bad, and they kind of just find a way to win, and they find their groove. And so Tannehill looked a lot better after week 1. Where Tannehill looked shot week 1, but I'm going to go Titans +3. Danny,
I'm going Titans as well. Browns lost Nick Chubb, pretty big part of their offense. That weirdo at quarterback still doesn't seem like he's got it right now. He's trying to figure out what he had in Houston. I guess he lost it. Maybe sitting out a year wasn't the brightest idea. But yeah, Titans will win this game. Titans.
listeners are going Browns though. Justin, who are you going?
Titans, gritty team, well-coached team. And if that offense looks like what they did in week 2, granted against a bad Chargers defense, but if they look like what they did in week 2, they're gonna win this game. They're probably gonna win it soundly too.
Chargers at Vikings -1. 2 0-2 teams. A pick 'em. I'm going with the Chargers. At least both offenses have looked fairly good, even though Kirk has had some bad decisions like that. Got picked off by Christian Izine. Both these teams, man, I just don't love what's going on with them. And Brandon Staley's starting to lose a little, but the Chargers offense has been good. And I'm just going to take Justin Herbert and a pick 'em, and I'm going to have the Vikings falling to 0-3. The listeners agree with me. Danny, do you agree with me and the listeners?
Oh, the dreaded 0-3 game. Gotta love it. I'm also going the Chargers. The Giants broke the Vikings. I love it. That'll be the one thing I'll take away, no matter what happens this season.
Wait, so what'd you take? I was
Chargers.
Actually, I don't need to type it. We're recording a podcast, so we're not answering super chat. Sorry, guys. DM me or something. So you got Chargers. Justin, what do you have?
These are two teams that try and give the game away every single week. So this will be fun to see how many times this game goes back and forth due to dumb shit. I am going to take the Vikings though. They're the home team. And I think the Vikings at least have, Vikings I feel like are the more battle-tested team in one-score games than the Chargers. So that's my reasoning.
All right, next game. Steelers at Raiders -2.5. The Steelers, I just don't love I don't love either of these teams, but I like the Steelers talent a little more defensively. I'm going to go Steelers +2.5. Listeners agree with me. Justin, what do you got?
Steelers.
Danny.
I just remember this is a Sunday night game. Now my Sunday night's ruined.
I know. Why was this ever made a Sunday night game?
The history, all that. I don't know. It's disgusting.
The rivalry.
The
80s.
They played this game last year in like December, and it was horrible.
Oh, yeah. This was in Hayward's little brother had that speed sweep to win the game.
Yeah. I'm going to take the Steelers. Mike Tomlin will turn it around eventually there with the Steelers to get above 5 to finish the season 500. And the Raiders, I don't know. I've barely seen any Raiders games this year, so I couldn't even.
So you pick Steelers?
Yeah.
All right, last game: Rams at Bengals -2.5. The listeners are going Bengals -2.5. Danny, who are you going?
Game's it depends if Joe Burrow plays. If Joe Burrow plays, the Bengals win this game and they'll cover all that. If he doesn't, then it's a totally different ball game. I'm gonna assume he plays for my fantasy team's sake. I also hope he plays, and I will be taking the Bengals.
I disagree with you. I don't think it matters if Joe Burrow plays. I think the Rams are back. Stafford looks good.
Oh, no.
He looks really, really good. Puka Nacua is just like a top receiver already. Like I don't know how that happened. I'm going Rams +2.5. They're back.
Oh,
Justin, who do you got?
Who did listeners go with?
Bengals.
I'm going with the Rams too.
Oh.
It's like I don't necessarily know like what talent they have, but the line has been like okay. I mean, obviously they have Aaron Donald, but man, like the whole reasoning for why the Rams weren't going to be good is because Stafford not really fully being. I mean, all three of the major faces for the Rams, Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, and Aaron Donald, like really contemplated. I'm pretty sure like retiring and not even being in football. Yet they're here and they're playing really well. So Rams.
But I think we forgot how good Sean McVay of a coach is because he had one down year. Like, let's not forget how
That's true.
Remember the Rams, how bad they were in his first year. All of a sudden, the Rams, like I think we kind of forgot. And then Stafford was hurt and the elbow, so it wasn't having the same arm talent. And Stafford's already a little reckless anyway, so it was just a bad mix with guys getting injured. And if there was any team that had a Super Bowl hangover, it was the Rams, where it just felt like they were kind of fat and happy. And I don't think that's the case anymore.
Kyron Williams also been fun for them. So
yeah,
I'm enjoying.
And he dropped it in. He popped up a pass for an interception.
That's just how you kill the vibe right there. That's just how it goes. Saquon did it, so he's basically Saquon Barkley. That's what you just said to me.
Wow.
All right, Danny, what is your score prediction for Thursday Night Football? Giants at 49ers.
They're going to lose, quite frankly. I mean, 49ers probably going to drop 30 points on us. We'll probably lose like 30 to like 13. But what I'm just really looking for is see how do the Giants just deal with this adversity? Like, obviously, you don't have Andrew Thomas. You don't have Saquon Barkley. Like, I just want to see a fight from this team because, like, it will give me at least hope that, like, this team can handle adversity for the rest of the season. If they can't handle adversity, then you're just not going to make it far in this league. So I just want to see some fight from the Giants, and I just want to have a reason to believe, at least in the beginning of the game, that we can win. So 49ers win 30-13.
Justin, what is your score prediction?
Giants lose 34-17, but it'd be really cool if we didn't.
All right.
I
don't feel good about this game.
Oh, is it back?
Don't do it.
And I wrote it down.
Oh.
I wrote it down. But I just can't bring myself to do it coming off of a win. I can't do it coming off of a win. It's got to be like all hope is lost for the season. And I sure as hell has not lost any damn hope for this season. I still got hope for this Giants team to win the playoffs. So I can't do it. I'm going Giants 77, 49ers 0. We appreciate you guys. Been a fun week of content. Come hang out with us tomorrow after the game. Let's celebrate together. Hopefully we get a Giants victory. Hey, we have never won a Thursday Night Football game talking Giants history. Let's make history. And if we do win this game, if we somehow pull out this win, Giants fans, let's take the biggest victory lap of all time because it'll feel good. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But it's football, and it's any given Thursday. We appreciate you guys. We will see you after the game. Until then, let's go Big Blue.